Hello everyone, welcome back to the Python programming course. We are in the part 11 of this series, and in this video I'm going to cover the remaining part where I stopped in the previous video of the conditional statements. Let's get started. So in the previous video I explained how to solve the password password checker program, which is actually written inside the mobile phones and how it actually works. I have written the basic code, like how what actually happens. I hope you found that interesting. And now we are going to write one more program which clears the functionality of Elif statements. So suppose, let us say you're writing some code for your college, which actually evaluates the grade system. Suppose your college has a grade system, let's say, for the students who got, let's say, marks greater than 90 will get A grade, and who got marks greater than 80 will get B grade. Marks greater than 80 and they should be less than 90, and marks greater than 70 and less than 80 will actually get C grade, and marks less than 40 will get E grade, and let's say marks uh, greater than 40 and less than 70 will actually get D grade. So these are the instructions which we need to follow, which the college has given to us. Now based on this, I am going to write down the code for my college which evaluates, where my computer can directly give out the grade. When the user's marks are entered, my computer will directly give out the grade which the student got. So this is the program I'm going to write it now. So these are the instructions which are given by the college, and I need to follow these instructions, and I have to write down the code. Suppose, yeah. Now let's get started. So before starting to write this program, I will explain one small concept which will make this problem very much easier. So let's see. Now let us understand what are logical operators. So what are these logical operators? In the previous examples, we have only checked one condition, like if age is greater than or equals to 18, or if password is actually equals to valid password. We have done this, right? Here we are using only one condition. This is only one condition, and if this condition is evaluating to true, then I'm executing the part of code which is inside the if block. So only one condition is being checked. But if I want to check multiple conditions, then I'm going to use something like AND operator or operator, which are coming under the category of logical operators. Like suppose, let's say in the previous video I explained about this license company, right? Now in order for the person to get a license, what he need to be, he need to actually be greater than 18, greater than or equal to 18, then he's eligible to have a license. But now I want to check whether the person is eligible to drive or not. It doesn't mean that if you're greater than 18 you're ready to drive a scooty or something. You're not. Your age should be greater than or equals to 18, as well as you need to have a license. So both conditions must be true, then only you will be eligible to drive any vehicle, right? So there are two conditions, not one conditions. So in those cases, then we need something like this logical operators. So how these logical operators will work? Suppose if I print true and true, what will happen? It will return out true. So what this AND operator does, this AND operator will check the left hand condition and it will check the right hand condition, and it will say if both conditions are true, then only I will return out true. If any of the condition is false, then I'm going to say it's false. So what is the main functionality of AND? AND says that if both conditions are true, then only I will evaluate to true. If any of the condition is false, then I'm going to say it's false. Suppose this is false, what it says, what AND will return, it will return out false, because one of the condition is false. Both conditions should be true, then only I'm going to return out true. So that is the functionality So that is the functionality of AND operator. It checks the both conditions. If both conditions evaluate to true, then only it will return out true. If any of the condition is false, it's going to say false. But what about OR operator? What it does, it checks only either of the one conditions must be true, then only it will evaluate true. Like, sorry, then not then only. If any of the one condition is true, then it will evaluate to true. It doesn't need the two conditions to should be true, then only it will evaluate to true. No, if either of the one is true, then it will evaluate to true. Suppose if true or true is there, yeah, this condition is actually true, so it will actually say true. Suppose if this is false, then also it will return out true, because one of the condition is actually true, so it will return out true. So I hope you got the difference between and or. So what this and is, and checks if both conditions are true, or checks if any of the condition is true. Either of the condition must be true, then it will return out true. If both conditions are false, it will return out false. If any of the condition is true, it will return out true. If both conditions are true, it will return out true. But in the case of and, if two conditions are true, then only it will return out true. If any of the condition is false, it will return out false. So I hope you got the functionality of what is and what is or. So I hope you got it. And there is one more that is called as not. So not is nothing but negation. It will do if not of true is there, it will say false. If not of false, so it will give out the opposite thing. Like if inside of this is false, then it will return out true. If inside of it is true, it will return out false. So I hope you got the understanding of what not actually is. So now let's write the program. You're ready to write this program, and yeah, let's start it. Suppose, now the first thing, let's understand it logically. How you need to improve your programming skills in this way. You need to start thinking first. First understand the problem. First understand the problem. You imagine what you're going to do. You understand the scenario. You first solve the problem inside your brain, and then convert that into language and write it down in the form of code. So first ever in your programming career, whatever you're going to do is, the first thing, you need to understand the problem. Then only you need to convert what you have understood and into the form of code. You need to stop first writing the code. You need to first actually understand the problem. So actually there is something called marks here, right? So this marks I need to compare with some predefined values. So in order to compare this marks, where these marks will actually get, these are the marks which are entered by the student. So I need to create a variable called marks. So I need to actually get the input of the marks. So whatever the input I'm going to get, I'm actually going to store those marks inside the marks variable now. And now marks variable has the user input. Now this marks variable will be compared with the specific values whatever my college has given. Now after comparing the values, what I'm going to evaluate some result called grade. So I'll create a grade variable. Now this grade variable will consist of values like A, B, C, D, E based on the conditions which you are going to be evaluated. So now I am going to do this program. I am going to create a variable called marks, and this is going to be an integer, and I am going to take the input called enter your marks. So the user will enter his marks, and whatever the marks he has entered will be stored inside the marks variable. Now let's write the program. So I'm going to write an if statement because I want to make the decision. Like I want to know the grade. So I want to write some conditions. So how? So if marks is greater than 90, as we can see, this is the first condition. So if I'm going to say if marks is greater than 90, then I'm going to have some indentation here, because it states that whatever I'm writing now, that belongs to this if block. So I'm going to say print. So I'm going to take one more variable called grade variable, which is initially none, because it does not have anything initially. So I'm writing none, that this grade variable initially has nothing. So grade initially has nothing. Now I'm going to say if marks are greater than 90, this grade variable is going to be A. So I hope you got it. If marks are greater than 90, grade variable will consist of A in it. Now, in the previous videos, we have learned only if and else. What does that mean? If this evaluates to false, then whatever is inside this is going to be executed. But I have many conditions in this. I want to check whether marks is greater than 80 and less than 90. I want to check whether marks is greater than 70, greater than 40, and then less than 40. So I have so many conditions, not just two conditions. Like if this not, if this not, then this. It's not like this case, right? It is something like there are more conditions to be evaluated. In that case, we are going to use something called LF. So what is this LF? So if marks is greater than 80, okay, if this is not true, then there are some more conditions I want to check. Check these. What if marks, Elif marks are greater than 80, and what I'm going to do, it should be and less than 90 as well. My so whatever the grade B is, grade B lies between the marks 80 to 90, right? So whoever gets marks between 80 to 90, they will be evaluated to B grade. So marks greater than or equals to 80, let's say 90 also belongs to A grade. So marks greater than or equals to 80, and what marks should be less than 90, right? So whoever gets marks 80 and below 90, so both should evaluate to true. That is why we are going to use and operator, because we are going to have two conditions, and these two conditions, if they are true, then only the grade is actually B grade, right? And is the are the conditions done, or or there are many? Yes, we have some more. So I'm going to write one more condition. For that I'm going to use one more elif, and I'm going to say, and one more thing to remember is that we can have many elifs, like we can have hundreds of elifs, we can write them, but we can have only one if, like we can use only one if, but inside an if we can use one more if, but yeah, we can only have one if here. And for that respective if, we can have many hundred conditions. Whatever the 100 conditions are there, those 100 conditions can be written inside this elif. And if at all and in the end we can end it with an else statement, like if all these conditions doesn't execute, then do this. In that case, we are going to use an else block at the end. So one thing to remember, there will be one if, one else, and between them there can be many elifs. So that you need to keep in mind. So what is the next condition? If marks is greater than or equals to 70 and marks is less than 80, then the grade must be equal to C grade. I hope you understood this. If marks lies between 70 and 80, then the grade is C. LF marks is greater than or equal to 40 and less than, that is marks less than 70, then I am going to say grade is actually equal to D. So there is, I think it is not confusing, because whatever it is written here, I am actually trying to convert it into the form of code. So I hope you understand this. This is what you need to understand. First, whatever you have understood as a problem, you convert it to English first. You understand, you try to solve it in English, and then that English can be converted into form of code. So I hope you understood this. Now, the last condition. Now what I can say, you have checked for this all conditions. If this all conditions will be false, then this condition only will be there, right? So I can consider this in else, because what is else? If these all are false, then else is this. Or else I can write a specific condition in elif, like elif marks are less than 40. I can do that. But I can write that case in the form of else itself, because if these all are not true, then this will definitely be this, right? So I can write it in the form of else. So I can write else grade is E grade, right? Now I hope you understand how this works. Now let's see if it is working or not. Let's see our program which we have written for our college will execute or not. Let's see. Okay, now my program, whatever I've written, it asks for marks. So let's say I've entered 95. So sorry. There is one more thing which I have to write here. I want to actually now, okay, we have stored whatever the grade that should be evaluated into this grade variable, but I have to print it. I forgot to print the value. So now I am going to print in a formatted string, your grade is, and here I am going to print out the grade. So let's see. Enter your marks. I'm going to enter 95. Here you can see your grade is A. Our code is working. Let's check further more cases. Like if I marks are 85, your grade is B. Okay, our code is working. If I say 75, your grade is C. We are getting it is working. And if it is 45, it is working. And if I enter something like 35, yes. So our entire code is working. So I hope that I explained everything in a good way. Like, I hope you understood what is LF statement, when do we use this. When we have so many conditions, not just one condition, then we are going to use multiple LF statements to cover out all the condition cases which are in our scenario. But we cannot use multiple ifs. Like, you can use them, but that is not a good practice. If at all you want to compare out a case which is like relative to this, like now this is the same case, right? We are always in all these conditions we are comparing a marks variable to something. So this actually comes under the same thing like what we have written in the if case. So if case is actually the starting point. We will do some condition out there, and if at all we want to write down the conditions respective to the same scenario, like now we are comparing marks to something, that is our scenario. And whatever the conditions, multiple conditions we are going to write, if they are actually comparing or belong to the same scenario, like comparing marks to something, then we can actually involve elif statements, which means they come under the same if and they do the same thing like comparing the marks with something. And yeah, instead of creating more if statements, we can actually use this elif statements if we are doing the same comparison of the same scenario multiple times with a different values. Then we are going to use this elif statements. So I hope you understood what are elif statements and how you use them. I explained this with a program. So yeah, I think you're good enough to do some problems which you like I want to give a problem. Like let's say we have tanks, water tanks, uh, in our at our homes, right? So let's take the amount of water inside the tank in the form of percentage, and we all have motors which operate these water tanks, right? If the motor is on, then the water gets filled inside these water tanks, and if the motor is off, then it will stop. So these motors, now we are going to create a motor sensor. So what this motor sensor will do, so this motor sensor, it will check if amount of water is greater than 75%, then motor off, then motor should be turned off. Okay, and motor sensor, one more thing is, if amount of water is less than 75%, then motor should be turned on. So this is the basic program which you need to write. So with the conditional statements you can do this. So I hope you can do this problem, and I have explained everything that is required to do this problem. And in the next video I'm going to explain about the nested if statements, which you can use for doing better programs as well in the future. And if at all I get any kind of idea of giving a new practice problem, I will definitely upload it in the next videos, and I will give out some good problems for you to do. And I want to explain, I want to give one more problem. Like Suppose you have three friends. Take their ages as input and print the smallest of the three. So this is one more program which you need to work on. So I hope you got this. I hope you like this video, and I hope you understood everything that I have explained in this video. And we have come so far, like we have covered out 11 videos in this series, and I hope you are getting everything from this series, and I'm explaining the best of the best content that is possible. And if you are liking it, please comment and please support me, and I will definitely give out the best content possible for you all. And I can assure you that you will be ready to do courses like NumPy libraries, Pandas library. After completing this Python series, you will be ready to do them, and you will be ready for learning machine learning as well after completing those NumPy, Matplotlib courses as well. And I will definitely upload them too. So I can say that you will be ready to get into that courses once you finish out this Python series. So I hope everything is clear so far. So if at all there are any kind of improvements which I need to make, please comment out. I'll definitely try to improve myself every day. So I hope I'm giving out the best content. If you think I'm doing that, please support me. If not, please comment out. I will try to make myself better. So thank you, thanks for watching.